This ad was never filmed, no crew, no studio, no actors on set. And honestly, for a growing number of businesses, that's becoming less surprising and more interesting. In this episode, we're looking at AI video and whether it can actually take over parts of a real commercial shoot. Here's the thing about commercial video. It's not just expensive, it's slow. Even a straightforward ad involves a lot of moving parts: planning, location, crew, lighting, filming, editing. And then the revisions, multiple rounds of them. That adds up in both cost and time. And for most marketing teams, time is actually the harder problem. You need variations. You need drafts. You need something to show before you've committed to a full production budget. That's where AI video starts to look interesting. Not as a replacement for everything, but as a way to rethink which parts actually need to be filmed at all. Let's be clear about what AI video tools are actually doing, because there's still a lot of confusion around this. They don't capture reality. They generate visual sequences from prompts, reference images, existing footage, or templates. That's a meaningful distinction. What that means in practice, you can produce video-like output without building every scene from scratch. Maybe you're animating a still image. Maybe you're transforming existing footage into something new. Or maybe you just need a rough visual concept to test an idea. Something that used to require a full shoot just to see if the direction was even worth pursuing. The goal isn't perfect realism. It's giving teams the ability to explore more options earlier, without the usual cost attached to that. The use cases that are working right now aren't the flashy ones. It's not the high-end brand campaigns. It's the lower stakes, faster moving work that lives around them. Product concept videos, early ad drafts, multiple campaign variations, social content, internal mock-ups for client presentations before any real production begins. In those situations, AI video doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be good enough to communicate the idea clearly. And that can save a surprising amount of time and back and forth. Instead of organizing a shoot just to test one direction, you can compare several directions before making that call. For agencies, that's faster iteration. For smaller businesses, it's access to a kind of video production that would have simply been out of reach before. The real shift here isn't that AI video makes production cheap or free. It doesn't. The real shift is that it lowers the cost of being wrong early. Traditional shoots are expensive, partly because so many decisions have to be locked in before you actually know what will work. You're committing budget before you validated the idea. AI video moves part of that process upstream. You can explore visual direction before you commit to production. You can generate several versions before picking one. You can walk into a client meeting with real visual options without having spent real production money yet. That reduces risk. And for a lot of businesses, reducing risk is actually worth more than reducing the final production bill. But here's where I think the conversation gets a bit dishonest, because AI video still has real problems. Consistency is one of them. Realism under close scrutiny is another. Human movement can feel slightly off in ways that are hard to explain, but easy to notice. Product details can shift between shots. Objects behave strangely. Brand-specific requirements, the exact look of a product, a logo, a color, can be surprisingly hard to maintain across frames. And the more precision matters, the more these issues become deal breakers. That's especially true in commercial work. Because in advertising, a small mistake isn't just a visual glitch. It affects how people perceive your product. It affects trust. it affects brand quality. So no, AI video is not replacing the commercial shoot, not the kind that actually matters anyway. Businesses that assume otherwise will figure that out the hard way. What's actually going first is the stuff no one really loves making anyway. The drafts, the concept tests, the placeholder content. The third variation of a social asset that's mostly the same as the first two. That's where the economics work. That's where the bar is low enough that generated video clears it. The technology doesn't have to beat a top production team. It just has to be faster and cheaper than whatever the current alternative is. In a lot of workflows, it already is. AI video isn't replacing commercial production. That part's pretty clear, but it is changing the economics around it. What you need to film, when you need to decide, and how much it costs to explore an idea before you commit to it. So the question worth asking isn't whether AI video looks real enough to replace everything. The better question is where it's useful enough to actually save you something. That's where the real shift is happening. Future systems.